What's up, everybody? You are watching the Elks Call with the Elks Herd. My name is Scout, aka the rep from Section X.
And I'm Catherine, aka Do You Even Elks? Or Kathy, sometimes. It goes around. It changes.
And today we got an awesome episode for you. First, we're going to go over that Edmonton Elks versus Saskatchewan Roughriders game, the one that ended in last minute despair. Then we got an Edmonton sports update. And then we have an extra special guest, Sammy Gahagan.
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 He's the U.S. Director of Scouting for the Edmonton Elks. So he's going to tell us about what he does down there in Florida, Daytona Beach to be particular. And yeah, we have an awesome episode. So I guess we're going to go ahead and dig into that last game.
Yeah, as always, we'll take it quarter by quarter just so that we can dissect it a little bit more and talk about it. So let's look at the first quarter. Personally, I thought that Cornelius came in looking a lot more confident.
Yeah.
Right. He was running on that 2nd and 8. He had that beautiful throw down the field for Dunbar, number 7, to get a first down. So we definitely saw a lot more confidence in there. He escaped the pocket at one time and he ran it himself.
Yeah.
So that was, I think, more closely resembling the Cornelius that we had seen at the end of the season last year.
Well, exactly. And Taylor Cornelius, he really likes playing in Saskatchewan for some reason. I mean, hey, we're not going to complain, but he seems to flourish when he plays there. And immediately you saw him get back into that groove where he likes to escape the pocket and use his legs. He started to use his legs early on in the game, and
he's got him, so he might as well use
them. He's got him, right? He's got that build, but more importantly, as soon as you start to do that in a game, you open up the possibilities. The defense has a really hard time reading what you're going to do. You have now added another option, right? So it was good to see them do that early on, and it looked really good.
Yeah, it was a good start
to start the quarter. Yeah,
it was a really good start, and then unfortunately it turned into sad face when Faithful missed that kick. So he kicked wide left, and that was a very unfortunate turn of events, if I may be honest. That was one of those that immediately, red flags, alarms all over the place. So,
well, and with Dean Faithful, right? The Elks kind of gambled on him. Chris Jones went for him for his reasons. Dean Faithful, 36, awesome guy. Awesome guy. We will definitely tell you that right now. He tunes into the Elks herd, and he's out there talking to fans often, and he's a big community guy. So he's out there loving what he's doing. Unfortunately, some of the questions that fans have had around Dean Faithful were answered for the wrong reasons on that Saskatchewan Roughriders game, right? So a little bit disappointing. I'm sure that he's going right back to the drawing board, but definitely wasn't the end of the woes for that game.
Yeah, no, definitely not. I mean, we did see a lot of turnover on downs. So, and by the end of the first quarter, that's when we started that game of Rouges. Am I saying it right?
Yes, Rouge City.
Rouge City. Yeah, with that one point at the end of the quarter. It started. That's how it started, right? So.
Yeah, in a game that we would see a lot of Rouges. It was probably one of the most Canadian CFL games. I think a lot of people called it weird.
Yes, I remember. Yeah, even the media, even watching the game, everybody on the panel there, like, this is the weirdest game in the world. It's just, it was something else, and we had just gotten started. So by the second quarter, Jake Julian kicks it in for that second
Rouge, yeah.
So, and then Trevor Harris had that fumble that led to an Edmonton possession with number 8, Mark McLaurin.
Mark McLaurin, yeah.
He scooped the ball,
Yeah,
as
he
you like
scooped
to
the
say.
ball.
As you like
Shout
to
out to
say.
Andre Prue. He scooped the ball, yeah.
He got that, and Cornelius did another big run. He
Yeah.
got it down to number 7, Dunbar again, and he ran it for a first touchdown. So.
But that the touchdown that was called back?
Yes.
So
that unfortunately was a call against number 68.
Foucault.
Foucault.
Yeah. And I'll go ahead and be fan-sided on this one. That was a pretty weak call.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a football play. We've seen way worse holds not be called. Foucault, he had the jersey. He held on for a millisecond too long, and even then, was that defender actually going to get there? In my opinion, no. But
yeah, but at the same time, I feel like right now in the position that the Edmonton Elks are, even right now, avoiding penalties should be a major
paramount.
Thing. That they should make sure that they're playing clean, if only for the fact that just for the idea of not giving away any sort of plays. Right,
totally.
We're not in any position whatsoever to be giving away plays.
Well, giving away yardage on penalties,
yeah.
right? And with the game before that, as we talked about on the last podcast, Jake Serezna, he was having a hard time with that. So you really hope that the Edmonton Elks were going to clean it up on the flags for this game.
Especially, like I say, just in our position and how, I don't want to say desperate, but
no,
in a way,
no, they
anything
are.
Counts. Every single little play, every single little drive, every single little kick counts. So and that takes us to the second.
Right, and I'll quickly say, when you're winning, it's the opposite, right? Like going back to the 2015 days. Sure, you get those penalties, but you knew that the offense was going to make it up, and they weren't too bad, or maybe even the penalty was something that would have prevented a big play, and you'd rather have the offside, or you'd rather have even like a short pass interference or something. When your team's winning, all of those little nuances that Edmonton Elks fans are witnessing right now and watching and criticizing, every single negative thing that happens on that field right now,
it's big.
It becomes a massive negative for many fans, right? And once again, if you're winning, you don't have that problem. So unfortunately, that's why we're noticing all of this so closely, right?
Yeah, and well, like I said, that just led to that second kick, that faithful miss, right? Once again, another one of those that you feel as a fan, somebody that is just watching, somebody feels like that shouldn't
easy
be
money,
a missed kick, right? You think it's in, and then he kicks it wide left, and it's just another disappointment.
Well, and for Dean Faithful as well, in his defense, a Saskatchewan Roughriders game, his first time probably, besides Edmonton Elks at home for that home opener, it's probably the biggest away game. Well, you know what? No, they play BC. They play BC, so they've had some big, and he played well in that one.
Yeah, so I mean, everybody has an off day, right? It could have been one of those. But like you say, we just go back to that point that every single play matters at this point, right? So, and everybody's going to nitpick anything that goes wrong just because of the position that we are in.
Totally.
So,
the desperation.
Exactly. Yeah, I guess that is the term. Right after that, we had Saskatchewan Roughriders, number 2, Alford.
Mario, Super Mario.
Super Mario, they called him. Yeah. Thankfully, that was another penalty that was called, and it didn't count for their touchdown. So that was on a return. So he had it on a return from that kick. So
and it was holding the 20-yard line. Yeah. So Saskatchewan, you don't know if that. See, with holding penalties, you don't know if that was actually going to prevent a major play, or if that was a nothing burger, and the ref saw it.
Yeah.
So it sucks for Saskatchewan for sure, but we will gladly take that one.
Yeah, no, I mean, it kind of held, but at the same time, it was very frustrating seeing that return happen, right?
Extremely. I mean, I thought it was in. And then Dustin Nielsen, he is like, but there's a flag at the 20. And I'm like, it's holding. It's got to be holding.
We'll take it. We'll take it anytime. After that, Cornelius had a good throw for French.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, there was no ball security in that one, so he let it go. And at the end of that, I think it was just Julian kicking it in for yet another Rouge. That was the third one of the game. So
Canada's favorite point. Yeah, Canada's favorite point, and very Canadian game this one was. Yeah.
Yeah. Going into the third, I think everybody was a little cautious at that point. Again, it's third quarter Edmonton Elks, as we continue to say.
Third quarter Edmonton Elks for 4 games this year in this season. The Edmonton Elks. You know what? Even going back to preseason, I think we saw a lot of good in preseason as well, right? Like there's a lot of promise in preseason. The superstition is you never want to go perfect in preseason,
right?
Because that means that your bottom level guys are, kind of like the best you have, and you're constantly fighting against other bottom level guys. So it's actually not a good gauge. But that being said, our third quarters have been notoriously sloppy. So this third quarter, I'll let you explain.
Yeah, well, it wasn't as bad as we have seen before.
No.
I think we had number 4 Brown. He gets us that first down, but we unfortunately are not able to take it any further. So Julian kicks it in yet another Rouge. That's the 4th point of the game. We also saw a few completions by Cornelius, and he actually pushes it through for a touchdown. So that was great. I remember being excited about that one because I kept wondering, why didn't he do that one time for that specific instance where
the 3 cracks at the one incident,
the one and goal.
The infamous. Well, and I mean Taylor Cornelius, he has the build, right? So it's something that the fans have talked about. It's something that pundits have talked about. The media, XYZ. You have a guy that's tall and lanky that can, get that ball over, which, it comes down to play calling and coaching. So who's telling him that he shouldn't be in? Is it him not comfortable with it? We really don't know, but he got it in.
Yeah, we saw it. We saw it a couple of times. Like he did that and he got it in. Yeah. He pushed through, and like I say, he's got the body for it. He's got the height, and he was able to just get it through. And it was good to see that he was able to make those plays. Unfortunate that we didn't see it before when we should have.
But this is also too. We have to remember, Taylor Cornelius now had something to prove. Right. So Daggy went in for the game before against Ottawa, right? That game was just a mess for so many reasons, and we've already talked about it. Yeah. But with this Saskatchewan Roughriders game, Taylor Cornelius, for some reason, likes playing in Saskatchewan. It's a bit of a confidence builder, and he's coming back in hungry.
Yeah, he had motivation for sure.
Well, exactly, and that goes back to what we were saying about Taylor Cornelius and his offseason, right? This guy came in and gained muscle mass. Yeah. To gain muscle mass, as we know, right? It's easier to grow a 6-pack of beer than it is to grow a 6-pack of abs. So for him to come in with muscle mass and look visibly bigger, he came in with preparation. So he obviously worked hard. He did great that game, in my opinion, with what he was given. Yeah. With Gino Lewis out, right? Yep. So we saw
a really big improvement from the previous games that he had played, right? And
running out of the pocket was a really big thing for that, right? That was a big factor in him being more successful in this game. Most successful game for Taylor Cornelius this season.
Yeah. Yeah, and right after, just before the third quarter ended, we saw Trevor Harris doing some really good throws, and that was a little concerning. But thankfully, he made the exact same throw 4 times in a row, and we were able to intercept. Marcus Lewis, number 26, was able to intercept and turn it around. But
Well, and
Yeah, it was.
we kind of predicted,
Yeah.
what was happening there. Like Trevor Harris was
hmm
going to the sides, and I think like for 4 or 5 throws in
It
a
was
row.
4. Yeah, it
Four,
was
yeah,
definitely
4.
4. I remember, turning around to you and be like, "Oh, he's gonna do it again. He's
Yeah.
gonna do it again.
Well, somebody, come
He's
on.
gonna
Somebody's got to
like."
pick up on that. Like, at some point, you got to wonder if coaching maybe got a little bit
Cocky.
cocky. I was going to go
Yeah.
there. You said it. But yeah, you got to wonder if they got a little bit cocky with that
Yeah.
one. And obviously, I mean, it took 4 shots, but we adjusted and we ended up getting that ball back. So.
Yeah. Yeah, and moving into the fourth, I mean, the majority of the fourth was pretty slow, I would say. And
Mhm.
and then we started getting more towards the end of it. I think um Trevor Harris started getting lots of opportunities to escape that pocket. The D
No.
was kind of crumbling down. There were 2 minutes and 40 seconds or something like that, 3 minutes left in the quarter, and they ended up getting a touchdown. He ended up driving the ball
Mhm.
directly and then doing a 2-point conversion right after that to tie the game, I believe.
No.
So it was, like I said, that was less than 3 minutes left into the quarter. We started seeing things crumbling. I don't know exactly what happened there. If I, it's hard to say, right? It was a very stressful last quarter at that
Yeah,
point.
that last quarter, I mean, you could tell where they were a little bit tired,
hmm
but they still should have had a little bit more gas. If anything, the pressure started to mount. And Trevor Harris, I'm not going to discount. I'm sure his go in Edmonton wasn't necessarily spectacular, but in 2019, Trevor Harris made it to the crossover, made it to the Eastern Conference Final, and he was going for his old completion record.
Right.
Like this guy still has gas in the tank, and we're
He's
even
got an
talking about
arm.
four
He's-
four years later.
yeah.
His off-season training, he goes down to Tom Brady's TB12.
hmm
Uh, I know quite a bit about his regime and how serious he takes the game, so he never counted himself out. I'm not saying the Edmonton Elks did either, but they did get gassed. They visibly could not adjust to what Saskatchewan was doing, and the cards started to fall. And then the infamous.
Well, before we get into that, on the topic of Trevor Harris, um, I think one of the things that I noticed the most is the inconsistency.
Mm-hmm.
Right. One of the things that I started hearing a lot and reading a lot after the game is that Saskatchewan also did not play a good game. So regardless of all of those really amazing throws that he might have
Mm-hmm.
thrown it was still not enough. Right. And we saw that inconsistency from him as well
Totally.
during this game that was in our favor.
Yeah.
But at the same time, we should never let it get to that point. Right. That's the whole idea.
Yeah, I mean the Elks basically gave him 4 quarters to warm
Yeah.
up, right?
Yeah.
I think that's what you're going for, and yeah, I mean I completely agree.
He had some
They
really bad throws, and then he had some amazing throws, right? So it's just not consistent enough to really count him in as an amazing quarterback, but he
yeah.
still he gave us some trouble.
Well, and big props to the defense. I
hmm
think the defense had a huge role in that. I think that they played a really good game. Um, they did, like the defense didn't do bad.
Yeah.
They played a really good game. Offense, obviously, there's a little bit left to be desired, but the offense didn't necessarily play bad this game either. Part of that is Taylor Cornelius
hmm
getting out of the pocket, making that defense, making the Saskatchewan defense second guess what they're doing, or adding that third option or fourth
Yeah.
option as we talked about.
Yeah, I think, like you said, individually in all the parts, things were better this
Mm-hmm.
game. The quarterback was better. The defense, D line was good. They have been consistent like that, but it was
Yeah.
good. The offensive line was better,
Mm-hmm.
right? So we saw improvements from the last game,
Big time.
but yet, as a whole, it was not enough, right? And that kind of takes us to that last incident that everybody is talking about when Sims goes in and doesn't go get the ball, essentially. It gets thrown way over his head, first of all.
Yeah.
That was a little too far, too way over his head. And instead of doing his best to go and catch the ball, grab the ball, kick the ball, whatever, do whatever with the ball, he just lets it be and takes a knee.
Well, and the only way that I can describe this as somebody that has watched a lot of football, ranging from SEC, NFL, CFL, his muscle memory and his athletic automatics went to college big play mode. That's the only way that I can describe that, is he went to college big play mode. So he's thinking touchback, let's get the ball down there immediately. And I mean, we
you can't say anything else. Like, you can't really give it another explanation. He's not going to give the game away. Like, he's getting paid for a reason. This is a job. That's his job. Go do something with the ball. So when you're thinking about mistakes that you have made in the past, whether it is at your job or in life, a lot of the time is legitimate mistakes that you feel extremely sorry about, that, it was just a big whoopsie. And unfortunately, it cost us the game. But at the same time, it's a good thing to kind of take a step back and try to see the big picture of everything that might have happened to let that go so wrong.
Well, he's never going to forget that.
No, he's never going to do that ever again. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah, no, he's never going to forget that again. And people are coming out and saying that this is slightly on coaching, or this is completely on the player, whatever, right? He went out and did his interview following all of this, and he expressed extreme remorse, and you feel bad for the guy, because he honestly did not mean to screw that up. He was not trying to screw that up. It's not like, he was a tired player and he's lollygagging and he's taking his time getting to the ball. He clearly looked like he did not want to get the ball because he thought it was going to be a touchback. And that, like you said, right, this is the only way that we can describe it or explain it.
Otherwise, he's just deliberately trying to screw the team, which nobody in this team is going to be. Nobody's going to be doing that. Nobody's going to be screwing each other up.
They all want the win. That locker room, like, if the fans feel rough, just like we talked about on the last podcast, if fans feel absolutely devastated right now, imagine being in that locker room of the Edmonton Elks. Like, anything that we say as fans is...
They hear it too.
Well, they hear it too, but if you're a competitor, you beat yourself up more than ever, 100%. Right? Like, what we say would never even be able to affect them the way that they beat themselves up as competitors. So yeah, definitely, once again, don't take these losses out on the players. Yeah, just try to understand. Right?
It's like what I was saying. It's time to kind of take a step back and see the big picture, right? Obviously, he could have paid more attention to other rouges that happened in the game. We had how many? 5, 6?
Sure, but none of them were really in the traditional sense either, right? Like, sure, you had a lot of them that went out of the end zone or some sort of scenario like that. There wasn't too many knees down.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is that, we're also not discounting responsibility, right? As a player, you learn the rules of the CFL. You should be able to kind of put 2 and 2 together. Not saying that, that's what happened, and not saying that he should be completely at fault. I'm saying that obviously there is responsibility in very many parts of this, including the coaching as well. I feel like, if they know that somebody's a rookie, they know that somebody's not particularly familiar with the rules, just remind them before they go out. Tell them, like, hey, it's your job to get that ball. That's it. Instead of maybe not saying anything.
Yeah, it could also be Chris Jones also said that as well, right? Like, hey, it was a bit of a coaching club as well, and everybody kind of took their responsibility on it. But you're right. You do gotta make sure those players know exactly what they're doing in their role before they go out, especially the rookies. Which CJ Sims, he's a rookie.
So it's just, and also with so little left of the game, and then tying it, right? There's
It's
added
critical.
pressure.
Yeah.
There's added pressure. Everybody's nervous. Everybody's
Yeah.
worried, right? It adds extra little bit of stress on top of everything, and players are going to make mistakes in these situations, right? So,
Yeah.
I mean, between the circumstance, between the coaching, between the personal responsibility that Tim should have taken for learning the rules and understanding the game, it's not a blame game. It's just with everything that happened during this game, it's a team issue, right? Everybody could have played amazingly in this
Mhm.
game, but all the pieces didn't click together,
No, exactly.
right? So, uh, and by the end of the game, it all ended with Cornelius giving it away, just with 25 seconds. I mean, at least that was the only interception
Yeah.
that he threw. And again, I think it was just stress, pressure.
Yeah, they're just calling whatever plays they thought would work best, but everybody's in high pressure
It's
mode,
just a
and
Hail Mary that went wrong, but can't blame
pretty
it.
much, yeah. So,
But I mean, that being said, now we have the next game tomorrow.
yeah,
Nope.
tomorrow,
Yes, it
yeah,
is
tomorrow,
tomorrow.
Commonwealth Stadium,
7 p.m.
7 p.m. against the Hamilton Tiger Cats. They're going to be coming to town. They ended up just getting a win here this last weekend, so they got a little bit of wind under their sails. They're going to be coming to Edmonton a little bit hot. We're going to be hungry as always for a home win, so definitely hoping that we get it. I'm not going to throw any predictions, but
I think we're at that point now that our prediction
we're gonna
is going to
win.
be the same thing. It's going to be cautiously optimistic.
Yes, yes.
I will continue to hope and be optimistic that the pieces will come together, because there were definitely some improvements. I definitely saw some pieces that were way better than before. So now everything just has to click together, and I'm hoping that this is the game that things just fit like a little puzzle and win.
Yeah, and I mean, we looked good in the beginning of that Argos game. Obviously, the Argos ran away with it last time at home, but for this one, it's a really good chance. The Hamilton Tiger Cats, they're without their starting quarterback.
Right.
They're going through injuries, and I think that there's a really good chance that we do win. I'm not going to throw a prediction on scores, though.
We'll see. We'll see. Well,
see.
And we did have a pickup and a release.
All right. Sam Ash. What was it?
Akipong.
Yeah, Akimpong. So
Which
D
one?
line, we ended up picking him up. We ended up releasing Daniel Ross also on the D line, so we ended up doing a swap. Woodley Apollon out. Marla Shawn Franklin Jr. out. Andrew Garnett out. Aaron Grimes, he was on the list for the first time in a hot minute after coming off of the sixth game, or at least near the end of the sixth game, and unfortunately he's out for this game. AC Leonard, that's a big questionable. I do believe that earlier on in the week he ended up sustaining some form of injury, so we're really hoping he's going to be in for tomorrow. And then Eli Menser out.
Yeah, we have quite a few players out. Hey, do you know if there's anybody that came back from the injured list?
No, we would have we would have set in.
Hey.
We would have set in.
Damn. Yeah.
So.
Sorry. No monetization for us today. But all right, we'll move to our next. I think we're gonna leave it at that. We'll see where that goes. We're gonna move to our next segment, which is the Edmonton Sports Update.
All right, guys, you are tuned into the Edmonton Sports Update. All right, in the CBL, the Winnipeg Sea Bears defeated the Edmonton Stingers 99-95 on Saturday night, July 8th. Their next game, which is the last home game, is Thursday, July 13th versus the Saskatchewan Rattlers. And side note, the Winnipeg Sea Bears has the worst logo in professional sports.
No, it's so cute.
Horrible.
It's got my favorite colors.
It's not fierce.
No, I said it's my favorite colors.
Yeah, but it's not fierce.
It's like a little bear coming and hugging you when they're dribbling the ball towards you.
All right, so for Edmonton baseball, on Saturday night, July 8th, the Riverhawks ended up beating the Kelowna Falcons 6-0 at Remax Field. And the Edmonton Riverhawks, their next game is against Kamloops, the North Paws. North Paws,
that's a weird name.
And then tomorrow night, the Edmonton Elks are taking on the Hamilton Tiger Cats at Commonwealth Stadium. Kickoff is at 7 p.m. I'm Scout and Haddock. You're up to date.
You need an outro sound for that.
I do need
an
outro sound, yeah.
We're going to have to figure that one out.
Yeah. Next podcast.
Yeah, there you go. We continue to improve, little by little. You're probably going to see a couple of little extra things here and there, some changes, some Easter eggs. I don't know what you might find from one podcast to another, but
a little bit of Easter eggs, maybe some giveaways. If you spot the change over this podcast, shoot us a DM on Twitter at the Elks Herd. If you spot the change, we're gonna go ahead and hook you up with a couple prizes.
Talking about prizes, though, we do have a giveaway, a big giveaway that we're looking at.
So we're supposed to be announcing the winner of the tailgate and tickets. Now we had a winner and then we had two backups. We would have announced it right now. However, number one hasn't gotten a hold of us, so we're going to give them until the end of the night. And then if not, we're going to move down the list of our two alternate winners. So definitely stay tuned to our social media for that. And we definitely hope to see you down in the tailgate.
Definitely. And we'll contact the person once we find out exactly who that is. And maybe we'll make a little video about it too.
Add a little hype to it.
Hype out a little bit.
All right, guys. Well, we're going to cut to a quick commercial break here. And we got Sammy G of the Edmonton Elks, the U.S. Director of Scouting, coming up next. See you in a bit. Shotgun Sports and the Stallion Stampede are proud to partner with Royal Retros to bring you discounted sports merchandise, including throwback jerseys and championship hats. To celebrate the 2023 USFL champions, the Birmingham Stallions, click the link in the description and use the promo code STAMPEDE for 10% off your order. Giddy up! Welcome back to the Elks Call. Today on The More You Didn't Know, we have a very special guest joining us from Florida, the U.S. Director of Scouting for the Edmonton Elks, Mr. Sammy G. Sammy, thank you so much for joining us today.
No problem, man. Glad to be here.
So, on The More You Didn't Know, we asked 6, depending on a bonus, 7 questions. And with our first one, being the director of U.S. Scouting for a CFL team, you must have had quite a journey. Can you please tell us the story of your career up until this point?
Yeah, no problem. So, I played football in high school. I played in college. I went back to college as a non-traditional 25-year-old true freshman. I played for a coach who was 2 years older than I was. And I played for 2 seasons at a small college in Ottawa, Kansas. I remember him calling me and telling me he just got the head coaching job at Ottawa, and I thought I was moving to Ottawa, Canada. I'd never heard of Ottawa, Kansas before. And then I go out and play for him. We win a conference championship in our second year. He gets a job at a new college, and he basically said, "Hey, I can help you." He told me you could keep playing, or I can help you in your career. I chose to work on my career, and he made me the director of football operations as an undergrad student. So I became DFO there for 7 years. I had a lot of good accomplishments there as a DFO. I networked a ton, and during that time, my brother wanted to be a sports agent, and I had a family member that we grew up with, now a family member because I baptized his daughter, and he wanted to be in the agent business, so I got into the agent business, and I did that for 10 years. That's how I met Coach Jones in 2002. And then Chris and I kind of kept contact with each other. And in December of 16, he asked me if I was interested in being a scout for him, just based on, he knew that I knew talent and players. And then the rest is history. So he hired me in Saskatchewan. I worked for the Riders for 3 seasons. And then he left and went to Cleveland. And then I started so when a new guy comes in, they always bring their own guys in there. So I was let go in Sask, and I basically, what I did at that point was I actually started my own scouting agency, and just to help every team in the CFL while I was waiting for another job. And then the global job came up. The director of global scouting job came up when they started the global initiative in the CFL, and then I actually applied for that. I actually finished as a finalist for that. And then right after that, I got a call from BC, and they were like, "Hey, man, we actually thought you were going to get that job, but we need a guy down in the southeast. Would you want to jump on?" And believe it or not, that was the first time I met G-Roy, in 2019. I got hired. It was right before COVID. G-Roy and I never spoke. We were on conference calls together all the time, but him and I never really spoke. And then that's kind of how my transition. That's how I met G-Roy. I was introduced to him, and we never spoke. And then during COVID, Ed Hervey left, and then they kind of let everybody go. They brought in a new group. They had their own guys, and then they let me go there. And then I got hired by Montreal the next the next year. So I worked a season for Montreal, and then Chris came back to the CFL, and the rest is history. So here I am in Edmonton for my second season.
Wow, so
Super impressive, eh?
a little bit of a carousel, but
Yeah.
once you made it to Saskatchewan, you're a man. Oh,
Yeah.
I'm like the Stevie Baggs of the CFL of scouting. Stevie Baggs almost played for every team, and I've worked for almost every team in my short career too. So
or even like a Kevin Glenn, right?
yeah, same thing. Yeah, no doubt.
So, what is it exactly that you do as the U.S. director of scouting for the Edmonton Elks?
Yeah, so I have a lot of different little jobs that I'm responsible for. Obviously I'm here in the U.S. I'm scouting U.S. talent all season during football season in the U.S. I also attend NFL training camps. I go and check out NFL training camps. Talk to those guys. I built a pretty good network of friends through the NFL, so I can go to practices during camp, and they'll kind of talk to us about who's on the back end of the roster and who's going to be available, who they think will be cut, who they think is going to stay. And we already have a list of guys that we're already looking for by the time I get there. I don't just go there and draw names out of a hat. We do our work here, and we go through the rosters. Giro and I kind of go through everything. Chris does most of the work in the off season, but during season he's more focused on the task at hand. And Giro and I kind of go back and forth every day. Giro and I probably talk 2-3 times a day, whether it's text or phone call. And then we kind of go through and we go through the rosters and say, okay, these are the guys. Like, they tell me, hey, I tell them, hey, this is where I'm going. These are the teams I'm going to go see. These are the practice I'm going to go see. And then we go through and say, okay, these are the guys we want to look at. These are the guys we want information on. So I do that, and then I go through the college football season, and I'll go to like college football practices. And I live in Florida. We have 19 colleges here, just in the state of Florida. Not all of them are big colleges, but there's 19, so there's tons of talent just in the state of Florida. However, I go all over the Southeast. I do Florida, Georgia. Where I travel to is Florida, Georgia, South Carolina, Tennessee, Alabama, and obviously Florida. So I go through those states during the entire season and just watch games. I make sure I see games of teams that are coming from other places that I can't get to, so I can see those players. We obviously we have a list of where the Canadian players are in the U.S., so I go into those colleges. So If there's a guy in Buffalo, we'll go up and see him, or we'll have somebody go there and see them. So we try to cover everything as much as we can as far as where the Canadian guys are in the U.S. and then also just the U.S. players in general. So I do that through football season, and then the I always like to say the gauntlet starts in December when our season ends. We go into all-star games, playoff games. January, I have the Hula Bowl, the Tropical Bowl, East-West Shrine game, the NFLPA game, the Senior Bowl, all in January. And we split that up between G-Roy and Chris and myself.
Yeah.
And then we move into pro days. And during pro days, there's actually no other. You won't see another CFL guy. I did 50 schools last year in 30 days. I drove 7,000 miles.
Holy.
Wow.
And yeah, it's a lot. But and about of those 50, probably 30 of them are combined with other schools. So I probably only went to, I want to say 30 schools, but I saw 50 schools in those 30 schools that I went to. I actually got a great compliment, and I'm not to toot my own horn, but I think it's a compliment for the league, not for myself. But one of the NFL guys said, "Hey, man, since you've been coming around, we've noticed more CFL scouts more and more at things that we're doing." And obviously, it was a compliment to me working hard, but I think it's a compliment to the league that now more teams are doing what I'm doing and kind of getting more people to where they need to be. So there's more of a presence for our league when we go to things. So the NFL Pro Days are just that. They're NFL Pro Days. We are visitors. All CFL staff are visitors. Myself, Danny McManus, Paul Jones, Vince Magri, we're all visitors. So they're allowing us to come. But what I have noticed myself in the last few years is when they huddle up at the end and give all the numbers, and before they used to say, my first couple of years, they used to say, okay, NFL personnel over here. And that would be the time after all the workout was done, they exchange numbers. Now they're saying NFL and CFL personnel, which I've noticed, which I think is great for our league. And it just, it's a presence. When you have a presence all the time, it helps visibility for the league, And I've noticed a lot of the scouts now talk to those guys, and there's some back end guys that they know that aren't going to make it, and they'll start telling them, "Hey, man, talk to Sammy, or talk to Danny McManus, or talk to Paul Jones." So it's been great for our league down here, and you guys don't get to see any of this, unfortunately, because you're in Canada, so you don't get to see how much of a presence we actually are having down here now. And there's a gentleman from BC that I see a lot. I forget his name, but I see him all the time. Jim Young. Jim Young's always on the road. Like he does. Again, those guys don't do as much as I do, but they're visible. And I've always said visibility is the best way to promote yourself. More people see us, the better it is. So after pro days, that's in March. April comes, we have our free agent workouts in the U.S. Every weekend we're gone. We're doing a workout. And then that's kind of like finalizing the last back end of our roster to bring into camp. And then I take the 42-hour trek to Edmonton at the end of April to get ready for camp.
And then do it all over again.
That's it in a nutshell.
Well, and even speaking on the visibility part of it, with us being on Twitter, as the Elks Herd, we try to, especially in off season, we're trying to grip as much content and news as possible. And the one thing that we have noticed is even when NFL media is talking about scouts being in attendance, the Edmonton Elks have been getting noticed because of your work down there that you're doing. So we actually do get a little bit of visibility on that, and every time we're trying to pump those tires.
Yeah, and it. So I don't know if you guys see or not, but every time I go to a pro day or every time I go to a school, I always thank the school for allowing us to come.
Yeah.
I also take something every time I go. So again, that's something you guys don't see either. I have a cousin here in town that owns a candy shop, and he makes taffy, saltwater taffy. Nice. And every time I go to a school or go to a game, I always take a bag of saltwater taffy and I give it to the person that hosts me. So that's just something that, and again, I always talk about this and it drives everybody nuts, but I was born and raised in a very Greek home and a very traditional Greek cultured home where you go to somebody's home, you bring something. You don't come in empty handed. So when I show up at a school, whether it's one of these balls here that I'll bring or or a bag of taffy, I always have something. I always have something in my hand to deliver to give somebody, and I'll leave. I remember. So this was pretty cool. I think it was 2019 or 2018. I went to the Alabama Louisville game at Camping World Stadium, and it's in Orlando. And Marcus Lemonis, who's a billionaire, he owns Camping World. He owns Good Sam's. He has a show on one of the channels, The Prophet. I don't know if you've ever seen The Prophet or anything. I don't know if you guys get that up there. Anyway, so I tweeted him and I said, "Hey, you're gonna be at this game?" He goes, "Yeah." I said, "All right, cool." So I went to my cousin. And I said, "Hey, man, I need you to make a taffy wrapper with the Prophet logo on it."
Nice.
And because he's a big candy guy. Yeah. And that's when I was working with Sask, and I have this picture of me just drenched in sweat. It was so hot at that game, and I'm just drenched in sweat with me and Marcus Lemonis. And so I saw him on the field pregame, and I said, "Hey, Marcus, it's me, Sammy G75 from Twitter." He's like, "Oh, hey, man." I didn't think he really did his own Twitter, to be honest with you, but he does. And he's like, "Hey, how are you, man? Good to see you." I'm like, "Yeah." I said, "Listen, dude, you got to come up to the box, to the press box. I brought you saltwater taffy." And he's like, "Yeah, no problem." I'm like, "Okay." So I go about my schedule down on the field with body typing and looking at players. I go back up to the booth. We're about 5 minutes into the first quarter. I get a tap on the shoulder, and it's him.
No
And I was
way.
like, "Oh my god!" I was like, and I handed him this bag, and it had my cousin's taffy in the Prophet logo wrappers on each piece. He thought it was awesome, and that's just again, like you're talking about a guy who probably never ever heard of the CFL, but now talks to me all the time on Twitter and asks how we're doing. Every time I see him now on the sideline, the first thing he asks me, "How's the season going?"
Yeah.
Couldn't be a greater guy. You know what I mean? So
Well,
it's
Sammy, that's a very Canadian thing of you to act so hospitable. And, it's really
for sure.
the CFL, the Canadian football.
Canadian, yeah.
No doubt.
No, that's amazing. And I mean, we kind of touched on this a little bit earlier, but you're all over Southeast America. So, next question, what's the favorite stadium that you've worked in?
People ask me this all the time. So this is the honest truth. So during football season, when I'm actually going to games, I think the best one I go to, the most comfortable of the group, is usually at Miami, University of Miami.
Nice.
They have a great spread. It's at and again, here's the thing though, it's at a pro stadium, so it's at Pro Player Stadium. So it's not like it's their own home stadium like University of Florida, which is a little bit tough to do because it's an outdoor press box and it's hot and they got fans blowing on you, your papers are flying everywhere. But they do a good job of feeding you. But when I'm at Pro Day and when I go to all those schools in March, hands down, Clemson is the best place to go. Their facilities, it's like walking. So when you walk through the hallways, the walls light up to guide you through the hallway. It's like the Starship Enterprise. It's unbelievable. They just built this amazing room for the scouts to go in and watch film, and then they feed you a crab boil every single time. It's and Alabama's right there. They're right there too, but I always got to give it to Clemson. For some reason, I just love going there.
Oh,
that sounds fun.
Yeah.
It definitely would make the job.
I hope this doesn't get me in trouble at all these other places that they were number one.
Hey, man, the Saskatchewan Roughriders. We now have the state of the art in the CFL, and as if snarling a little bit,
As if we don't know it, right? So, because you're a remote staff member of the Edmonton Elks, you don't get to see the team up close that often. So, what's it like watching the team from so far away?
Well, when I come up for camp, I'm there actually 2 months. I don't know if you guys knew that or not. I'm close to 2 months while I'm there with the guys. Nice. I have such a great bond with those guys, and I love being a part of, what the club's doing while I'm there. it's great to see those guys, man. Because my office, I don't know if you've been around in the office to see how our offices are set up, but my office is at the stadium is it's just right in the heart of where the guys are always at. It's right in front of the meeting rooms. So those guys are constantly in my office. I always load up my office with snacks because they're always coming in and grabbing a Gatorade, or Jake Seresno will come in all the time for gum, or somebody will just it's always something in there. So I have a really good rapport with our guys. So when I leave there, I it hurt. It's a little bit sad. I get a little misty eyed when I leave those guys, and not just I love the coaches. Obviously, I enjoy everything that I do there. I love the people in the building. So it's tough, but I sit here and we play at 9 o'clock on Thursday, which is 7 o'clock for you guys, but 9 o'clock here. I'll be up till 1 o'clock in the morning. I'll sit here, and my poor dog can't hear enough clapping or slamming of the desks, So it's tough. I want to be there. I want to be there with those guys. I text a lot of them right before during the game, like right before the game. I'll send a message to Taylor Cornelius. I'll send a message to Jake Seresna. I send it to Day, because I have a bond with those guys. Some of those guys I helped bring in. So I try to keep my bond with those guys as much as I can. But whenever you're here, you're like, I wish I could be doing more if I was there. That's the feeling I get. I wish there was more I could be doing. But that's not the case. I'm here and they're there, and I just got to hope that they're getting after it.
Well, and the Elks need you down there, right? So, you're kind of like that relative that comes in at Christmas and
the uncle that you only get to see once a year.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, load everybody up with snacks and be everybody's favorite, and then you're out, and then everybody misses you for 10 months.
But I will say, like, a lot of those guys will text, like Jake Seresna, man. I love Jake Seresna. He's a great guy. He sent me a text message once. He said, "Hey, man, safe travels. I miss you already, man. Hope you're well." That's the kind of bond you build with those guys. And I remember Jake coming up to me during the Winnipeg game in preseason. He goes, "Hey, dude, you guys did a great job with the locker room this year. We really appreciate it." So it's great to have that bond with those guys. And I'm a jokester at heart, so I'm always joking around with those guys, and I always tell them how I used to do it. I was way better than them, and I just joke around those guys as much as I can. So I try to have a great relationship with those guys.
No, that's definitely amazing, and from everything that you've said, I mean, we know Jake Seresna as well. Awesome guy. If you're in with the likes of Jake Seresna, then you got to be a good dude. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
or a good salesman.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's good.
So that being said, who is your favorite player you've scouted, past or present?
Oh man, I don't want to. Everyone I've scouted is my favorite.
That's such a parent thing to say.
Yeah.
I don't have favorites.
Yeah, I don't play. I don't have favorites. When you come into this game and your first one's always your. So let me tell you this. So Peter Adji, I told him today, or told him before I left. I said, Peter, you're always gonna have a special place in my heart. And he said, why? I said, because I announced your draft pick.
Yeah.
So I said, Peter, you're always gonna be in here, buddy, because you were my first draft pick I ever announced in my life. Yeah. That was my first one ever that I announced, and he'll always have a special place in my heart. Yeah. So not a lot of people can say the long snappers their main guy. So I'll leave it there. The long snapper, Peter Adji, he knows. I told him he's got a special place in my heart.
Well, there you go. And we're not going to make you, pick a favorite in terms of players. But how about the favorite part of your job? What is the best part of your job?
Honestly, for me, it's just like finding guys. So I don't consider what we do work. I love the game of football. I love the CFL game. Going to football, I tell people, man, I get to watch football for a living. I mean, it's not really a job when you're doing what you love, the day that I wake up one day, I'm like, oh God, I got to do this. that's when I know it's time to hang it up or move on. But every part's the best part. I love being on the road. I love being in new cities. I love being in new stadiums. I like seeing new people and new players. I love the camaraderie of our guys. I love our building. All the people that are in the building are so good when I'm there. Such great hospitality. Even the hotel that I stay in, they're amazing to us. They do a great job of just being professional, hospitable, accommodating. I was trying to bring my dog up this year, and I gave them a hard time, not them versus they didn't give me the hard time. And I was wanting to have her up there, but I'm gonna get her up there next year. I promise you, she's gonna be with me for training camp. But yeah, just every part of it's awesome. I mean, there's not a bad part. Like I don't ever wake up in dread or like hate what I do. So, I hate losing. I think we all hate losing. That part stinks. But that'll get fixed too, just like everything else. So, we're getting there.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
that's
totally. Totally. And then for a bonus question, one last question, Sammy G, do you have a prediction for Thursday's Edmonton Elks versus Hamilton Tiger Cats game?
Yeah, I'll give you the same prediction I give every week. We're gonna win the game.
Love
If
it.
you don't think you're gonna win, there's no sense in doing this. So we're gonna play hard. I can assure you, we don't go out there thinking we're gonna lose.
No.
So I predict we'll win. I predict we're gonna play hard. I predict the fans will be happy with us. That's my prediction. So anybody that you ask that if they don't think we're going to win every game, then they're not real fans to me. You can't have a lack of confidence in this business. You can't. You got to always know, not think, but know we're going to win the game because our guys step on the field knowing they're going to win the game. They don't walk out there and say, "Oh, well, maybe we're not going to win this one." That doesn't happen in this game.
Mm-hmm.
We're not wired that way as football people. We truly believe every game we're going to win. And maybe it's the naivete of the U.S. guy, but I always ask, "Hey, man, has any team ever gone undefeated?" Because I really think we're going to win every game, and that's my mentality. That's our mentality as a group. We really believe we're going to win every. There's not a game where we're inferior or scared or any of that. We really believe we're going to win every game. So
well, I think that's super important too, because if you go in with a defeated mindset, then that's just going to show in the field, right? On the field, it's going to play the way that you are on the field is going to be affected by the mentality that you walk into in the game. So that's great that every single player goes in knowing that they're going to win.
Love
that.
That's it.
Well, and true be told, I mean, Ed Gainey, he got into Facebook groups recently and, kind of preached a similar thing, but our viewers, and especially the Edmonton Elks fan base as a whole, right? So many questions. They don't hear a team representative come out very often and give that kind of perspective, right? They don't. The fans don't really hear that from the other side of the turf.
Yeah. No, and that's the thing. I understand fans. I've been in every aspect of football, so I understand the fan mentality because the fans they just want to win. They don't care about anything else. They care about winning. And they see things. We as personnel people and a team, we get to go back and watch the film and watch every single play, frame by frame, inch by inch, and dissect it. And when you're watching in real time, you don't get to replay it in your eyes. So we get that ability to do that. So I can understand why they can get frustrated at times, and we got to really focus on the things that we're doing well. Our defense last week held a team to 12 points. I mean, 12 points. Normally in any game, and I know people harp on CJ as the reason why things went bad, but there's other things that went wrong. That it wasn't CJ's fault that we lost the game last week.
Exactly. It's not down to one play, right?
No, we missed 2 field goals. We dropped a touchdown. I mean, there's all kinds of costly penalties. There's so many other things that happen during the course of the game. But the fans don't, you know what I mean? Like I said, they don't get to go back and do what we do as far as watching frame by frame. And listen, they're frustrated, and we get it, and we're frustrated too. We won't, trust me. We didn't come to work here to lose. We came here to win. So it's important that they all know that we're trying to win every game. We believe we're going to win every game. We really do.
No, that's amazing, and fans definitely want to hear that. We want to hear that, but most importantly, it's something that your regular fan, or even the hardcore fans, all fans, watch these games, and it's all about the immediate results. But if you look at the big picture, you can actually see what the Edmonton Elks are building, and we retained a core this year. Sure, the results aren't exactly what we wanted, but sometimes you got to get worse before you get better, right? And that's kind of how we're looking at the team this year.
Yeah.
So
and that's what we're doing. We're just I said it in the in training camp. We put a good core group of guys together. We've got a championship team here. We're going to get there. We just need them. Everyone just be patient. We'll get there. There's no. I can assure you, we come to work every day thinking we're going to win. We don't hope we're going to win. We don't maybe. We don't do that. We come there thinking we're going to win every game. So we're going to get there. I promise we're going to get there. It's going to be fun, and I'm having fun. I know we're 0-5, but I'm still having fun. I mean, we're because I see what we're doing. I see the progression of our team, and it's going to be awesome, man. They're really going to have a great time.
Well, and you're seeing the other side of the football, and all the way from Edmonton to Florida, that exists, right? So we believe that it's going to turn around here shortly. I mean, Hamilton is definitely the next best chance, but
I think it would be a different story if we did not see progress in every single game. And just like you said, right, you get to see it. You see that there's improvements. You see that there's a little bit more every single time, and it's exciting. It makes it fun.
It's awesome.
We should focus on that instead of the negatives.
I got to tell you, when I was there and for the home opener, man, even for the fan day, there's so much energy that's flowing through the city. The fans are awesome, man. They're great, and just to be a part of that and see that energy in those two events that I was at, the home opener obviously, and then the first fan, because I wasn't there for fan day last year. I left before fan day, so that was the first time I'd seen it. They said last year fan day had maybe 100 people, 150 people, and then this year they had 3,000 people. It was awesome. So that's a testament to what we're doing, not only as an organization, but as a fan base, as a city. It's our mottos. Our team, our city. So, or our city, our team. Excuse me. Got that backwards. But it's really awesome to see what the fan base is doing. I think they're amazing. I couldn't ask for a better experience, and because I didn't do one preseason game last year. This year is the first time I did a preseason, or a regular season game. Wow. I did preseason last year with the Calgary game, but
not the same.
It was awesome. I mean, it was just, I have people have pictures of me from the stands where they caught me a bunch of times just turning around. I'm staring into the stands like this is, like, it's cool. Like I can't explain how awesome that feeling was to see that much support for what we're doing. So I'm hoping that they continue to do that.
Totally, and I mean, with what we're seeing on social media, what you're doing down there, showing great representation all across Southeast America. You can feel it. You can feel it in the air. We just need that one win, and we just need to snap it around. And before you know it, maybe not this year. Hoping for this year, of course, to make it back to the playoffs. But even then, once we get those wins, they start racking up. We get the fans back in the Commonwealth Stadium and from there we're rolling. So,
hey, a streak starts with one. So
exactly.
Let's get the one, and then we'll start moving. Listen, I have a lot of NFL guys that text me every week about us. Say, hey man, saw the game last night. In fact, we got one of my good friends is the director of scouting at the New England Patriots.
Oh wow.
And I've sent him a ton of gear, and he sends me pictures of him in his shirts or hoodies watching the games.
Yeah.
I mean, so we have people that are supporting us from all over the place.
Yes.
So it's important, and again, these are things that you guys don't see up in Canada about how much support we have down here. My barbershop, on my barber's window, he's got an elk sticker.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, it's awesome, man. Like my neighbor has. I bought him a couple hats this year. I bought him last year too. He loves them. In fact, he just came, this is a cool story. He was just in Nicaragua, just came back yesterday. He said in the airport, somebody walked up to him and said, "Hey man, are you Canadian?" And he's like, "No, why?" And he didn't realize he had his elk shirt on. He goes, "Oh, I saw the Edmonton Elks logo." He goes, "Oh yeah, sorry." He goes, "No, my neighbor works for the Edmonton Elks." Like
Wow.
it's like cool stuff like that happens all the time, down here. So we're all fired up. We're all excited about what's getting ready to happen here. So
Well, and
we're gonna get it.
over here the NFL is so big, right? So it's nice to see that down in the States the
Yeah.
CFL is actually leaving an
Yeah.
impact a little bit. So that's super cool.
No, and a big thanks to Sammy for what you do down there and showing that representation. Guys, this is all the time that we have for today. Sammy, thank you so much for joining us today. This
No
was
problem.
awesome.
Anytime.
And I guess we're going to catch everybody on the next episode of the Elks Call. Thank you to our viewers. Thank you, everybody, for watching. Once again, thank you, Sammy, and we will catch everybody next time. This is the Elks Herd.
Thank you, everybody.
Go Elks.
Signing off. Go Elks, Sammy.
Go
Go
Elks.
Elks. Thanks, guys. Cheers.